So earlier this year, Sennheiser released its second generation TWS earbuds under the Momentum series. It's aptly called the True Wireless 2, and as you can no doubt surmise, it's the replacement and follow-up to its True Wireless earbuds, which were released last year. Unsurprisingly, as you may have already surmised, there are actually some improvements to this particular set of earbuds compared to its predecessor. And in this video, we're actually going to take a look at what some of those improvements are. So from an aesthetic side of things, there's not much has changed with the True Wireless 2. You still get the same textured, sofa-covered charging case like its predecessor, and around the back you charge it through USB-C, and next to that is actually a button that indicates the battery health of the charging case. It shows you three colors. Green means it's full, yellow means it's orange, more actually means it's halfway, and red means that you really need to start charging it. In terms of battery, this holds an additional 21 hours. That's 3 charges, because in total, for when it's full, the earbuds give you about 7 hours worth of continuous playback. 7 hours is actually a major improvement over the first generation. The last pair of True Wireless earbuds only had about half the playback time for this, so yeah, thumbs up for that. Just like its predecessor, again, the True Wireless earbuds are actually touch-based. And the good thing about this setup is that with Sennheiser, everything is preset from out of the box. The left earbud, dare I say it, it's actually controls the playback functions. So you tap once to play a track, tap twice if you want to skip the next song, 3 times if you want to go back to the previous track or repeat the song you're currently listening to. Whereas the right earbud controls the Google Assistant. Tapping twice and 3 times respectively activates the ambient sound sensors as well as the ANC, the active noise cancellation. But even despite the controls presets coming out of the box as such, you are able to customize it, and Sennheiser has made it so that you can do that. But what you will need to do is to download the Smart Connect app. It's dedicated, but I can assure you it's simple enough to navigate through. So we've talked about the charging case and its accompanying earbuds, but I think we should touch very briefly on the packaging as well. I think it's only fair that you want to know what you're getting with it. So Sennheiser has graciously provided 3 ear tip pairs, each pair varying size, and it starts with okay. I didn't know this, I should have read it properly. It actually starts from extra small ear tips to small and then to large. These aren't large, by the way. The large ones I've already attached to the earbuds. That aside, you also get the, obviously a user's manual, safety guide in here, and a charging cable. It is USB-C, so technically speaking, if you really want to if you have any USB-C cables lying around, you can just charge it without even having to take this out. That's pretty much it. The one thing I guess we should answer, some of you are probably asking before we actually get into the performance of the earbuds, is how does it fit? And the answer to that is actually quite snugly. When you put it in, you need to stick it in and then give it a little twist to make sure that it doesn't fall out of the ear. But even then, the twist doesn't have to be that hard. I just give it a little nudge every so often, but for the most part, it just stays in my ear, and quite frankly, it's one of the best fitting earbuds I've ever used. As to the performance of these earbuds, they are what you would expect of something of this caliber. Mids and highs sound clear, crisp. They also sound very, their sound staging is really a key factor for these earbuds as well. It makes it good for some classical music, some jazz if you're into that, and something with lots of vocals also. We're talking pop songs. Rock is one of those hits and miss. And there's a reason I say this. With rock, or actually in any case, the jazz or vocal pieces, some pieces have a certain instrument that is the star of the track. With the Sennheiser's True Wireless 2, these earbuds have a tendency to actually bring forward the background music. So anything that you usually pick up over long periods of listening, such as crashes or background guitars, even the drum beat. It tends to be brought forward a little bit more. Earlier on, I did mention that the bass is something of a hit and miss, but it actually feels like I'm going to have to boil this down to the kind of track that you listen to. The bass either stands out or it's the loudest possible thing that you're ever going to hear. And I've always stood by the testament that bass should always be felt, never heard. There's nothing wrong with the bass. There's no distortion, and on that note, there's no cracking when you listen to any tracks with with exceptional highs and that goes several octaves above what is considered normal. There is one particular point of these earbuds that I want to touch, and that's actually the volume. Now, to be very clear, I'm not saying that these are not loud. They are loud. This doesn't have the same level, or rather the same maximum volume levels as some of the other earbuds I've actually tested in the past. I'm talking about maybe 70% of what I'm used to, and that's at maximum volume. So to give you a general idea, I use a Klipsch T5 pair earbuds as my daily driver, and the volumes on those things can really get quite loud. And by comparison to those earbuds and to the true wireless 2s, these are slightly more muted, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Again, like I said, I don't expect people to listen to music on earbuds at earth-shattering volumes or deafening levels. At the same time, to each their own. But all those arguments and little pittances about the volume, the highs and mids can actually be resolved very simply, and that's actually through this. Sennheiser's own dedicated app for the whole thing. It's the Smart Connect, or Smart Control, sorry. Basically, you just download it to your phone, and you can actually start manually tapping on it to activate either the ambient noise and noise cancellation, or even play around with the equalizer, which is actually a graphically intuitive piece of thing. Move it up if you want higher, if you want higher trebles but less bass. Lower down to the bass, but you still want to keep the trebles. It's really just that intuitive. As for the active noise cancellation and ambient sound effects features on the True Wireless 2, they are, well, simply put, they work as advertised. I mean, once I stick them in, the earbuds actually just, by default, everything's off. But for the most part, they block out most sounds from the outside, but I can still hear myself talking. Tap twice here, and the ambient sound comes on. Surprisingly, it starts to pick up little sounds that you don't necessarily hear or pay attention to unless you're really focusing. So if you have a pair of jiggling keys or sharp objects, metal hitting the metal, these things pick it up with a very loud tap. It tends to throw me off guard because I don't expect to hear it that clearly. And active noise cancellation pretty much just blocks out any sound. Should I get the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 2? And the answer to that is, well, it depends. On the shelf and at retail, the True Wireless 2 earbuds go for 1,499 ringgit, which, if we're honest, is pretty pricey. There's no question about that. That said, it is a pair of Sennheiser's most up-to-date and latest earbuds, if you want to think about it that way. If I were to actually gauge it, it sits in between Sony's WF-1000 XM3 and my daily driver in terms of quality, the Klipsch T5 True Wireless earbuds. I believe that the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 2 sits in the middle simply because it actually strikes a very good balance between power and the features that it comes with. Sony's WFs come with those features, so we're talking ANC, active noise cancellation, and ambient sound control, negating sound and letting you hear whenever you need to. But it's not the loudest. It's not the loudest pair of earbuds I've actually used. Another flaw with the WFs compared to the Sennheiser, and I think this is actually quite crucial, is that it lacks any support for Qualcomm's aptX technology, or codec in this case, whereas True Wireless 2 and T5s do. So on the other end of the spectrum are the Klipsch T5s. Now these are my daily drivers, and there's a good reason for them. The first is the higher volume ceiling, which means I can increase the volume to a relatively greater degree if I'm feeling, if I'm really digging the song or leaning into the track. It's got really great sound staging. It's a really big plus point. I like to be able to hear all the instruments, and the bass on these earbuds are really deep. You can feel it in the back of your head. There are some drawbacks to it. First off is the shape of the earbuds. It's not the most form-fitting of audio accessories you ever come across, and half the time even after twisting it to try to make it secure, it doesn't quite stay in my ear. And this is after I've changed out the ear tips. In terms of features, it doesn't have ANC or even ambient noise control. So Klipsch's engineers told us, well, me specifically, when I asked them about it, that they designed it so that once you stick it into your ear, it should just block out most of the noise. It works to a relative degree again, but not all the time. So then, last but not least, in closing, I guess we should talk about the pricing comparison between all three. So, as I mentioned, Sennheiser's True Wireless 2 costs 1,499 ringgit. The other two are they're not significantly cheaper, but they are definitely cheaper. The Sony WF-1000 XM3s costs 949 ringgit on a regular day. This is barring, of course, any sort of deals that either is being given online or at any authorized retailer or reseller. And then we have the Klipsch T5s. These go for 1,099 ringgit, and they're usually found at Harvey Norman's. Well folks, that has been our quick look and somewhat quick review of the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 2. If you liked the video, don't forget to drop a like and share this video with your friends and family. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get notified of any new content from us. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.